Hey guys, Kelsey from Badge Security and Survival. Today, we're going to talk about my journey into prepping and the do's and don'ts. Let's do this. All right guys, starting with the do's and don'ts, we're just going to cover one thing here really quick. When you start buying stuff, doesn't matter what it is, take your time. Big thing I was a victim of overspending. All right, so Amazon is an addictive thing when it comes to prepping. There's so much cool stuff to buy in general, and it's all easy to do on Amazon, especially when you have free 2-day shipping. So what I did with that is I had an Amazon credit card. I racked it up 4 or 5 times, paid it off every time, racked it up every time. It was just a lot of wasteful spending, because when you actually start testing your gear out and you realize of what you need and what you don't, you don't need something just because it's cool. It might not be tailored to what your survival situation is, where you're at in the country, or those type of things. Just because something's cool doesn't mean it's gonna work for you and your situation. So when you're buying stuff, especially even with food, take your time. Every week or every couple weeks you go to the grocery store, buy, spend $10 on canned food and stuff like that. And also a lot of people go out there and buy bottles of water and cases of water when you can just fill water up at your house. When you have empty juice jugs, any kind of empty jug except for a milk container. And the reason behind that is it's hard to clear out the enzymes and the bacteria from the milk, and when you put your water in it, it's going to grow. So when you need the water, you're going to end up getting sick from it. So it's completely opposite of what you're trying to use it for. So look at something like a bladder for your tub. Those things are going to have to be planned out a little bit more, due to the fact that your water in your town's not necessarily going to be high quality. If your water plant goes down, or however that stuff works, it's something we're going to be planned out ahead of time. You're like, okay, now maybe I should fill my jug up now, or my tub up now, that the water is still good. So things like that. But there's nothing wrong with using juice jugs and stuff like that, filling up with water and storing them down in your basement. It's free, besides your water bill, but mostly it's free, cheaper than going to buy bottles of water. And that's what I do. When it comes to food, don't be afraid to buy rice and beans. Those things last forever and you can live off of them. When it comes to, the rest of the realm of foods, buy stuff that your family's going to eat. My mistake is I bought stuff that we don't eat. I bought stuff that would last longer and, maybe wasn't as appetizing, but it was cheap, that kind of stuff. And guess what? It expires. So make sure you buy stuff that your family eats now. Canned vegetables are a great thing to buy because you're going to eat them. You want to rotate your stock. We don't know when a disaster is going to happen, or something's going to happen when we're going to need the food. So we don't know how long the food's going to be sitting downstairs or wherever it's at. So you want to buy food that your family's going to eat, so you can rotate your stock. That way you're not eating stuff that's not appetizing. So buy stuff that you're going to eat, and make sure it's cheap. You don't need to buy super expensive stuff just because it's good for survival. There's plenty of things that are good for survival that are cheap. If you get done with stocking up on food, look at buying freeze-dried foods. We did a video on Mountain House. Their food is amazing, and it's not that expensive. You get you have a bag of lasagna that's $5, and you get 3 servings out of it, and it tastes amazing, and it's great food to survive off. And that stuff lasts forever, longer than your canned vegetables and that kind of stuff. So it's also a great item to have. Do your basics when you stock up first, and then you can dabble your feet into more expensive stuff. But the problem I did is, I jumped straight into it. I got stuff I didn't need. I got stuff that was too expensive and wasn't useful, especially with the gear. When you're buying gear, I think it should be your last thing you should buy. Food and water are more important. You're not going to survive without food or water. So save your gear for last, and be careful what you're spending your money on. Do your research and spend your money wisely. That was my issue. I talked about Amazon. I spent my money on everything, and I had to buy containers to store it in. That's how bad it got. And I haven't opened the containers. They're not stuff that I would use when, you know, I went and tested my gear and like, okay, don't need this, don't need this. And that is the issue you run into when you're buying a bunch of gear. So just do your research. Watch. YouTube's going to be your friend when it comes to gear. You're gonna learn of what's good, what's bad. Just because you watch a video and they say it's good, watch something else. Try to find a video that doesn't like that certain product so you can see the downfalls of it. You want to do your research. You don't just want to, you know, dive in and start racking up credit cards. It's the worst thing you can do. If you have the money to, you know, go blow thousands of thousands on dollars on it, more power to you. I envy you. But do that, do the basics, and then dab your feet into the more delicate and expensive stuff. Don't get me wrong, expensive stuff is awesome. There's awesome knives, awesome bags and gear that are just top of the line, and they're gonna give you that advantage in some situations depending on the item. So just do your research. Thanks for watching. Make sure you go check out that blog on badgersnest.com. It's called Do's and Don'ts of Prepping. It goes in a little more detail about what's good food to buy, how to store your water, don't rely on FEMA, all that kind of stuff. It goes in a lot more detail of what we spoke about today. So go check that out. Also, John has a blog up there. It's about his individual journey into the prepping world also. So make sure you check that out. It's a different perspective of mine. So if you liked what you watch, hit that like, subscribe button. And until next time, make yourself ready.